Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Um, I will apologize for not doing as many pre-recorded pieces that I've used to doing, but as I've said in other episodes, uh, my new job has really been killing me, crushing me, and well, I shouldn't say crushing me because I survived, and I'm finally out the tunnel on the other end, and things are easier, and I'm on top of the process and all of that other. So it's not fun yet, but eventually that will come because now that I'm done with sleepless nights over closing dates and shipping deadlines, I'm a better, happier man. Um, I will be at the APEC conference if you are an electronic engineer and in the Atlanta area. I'll be there in a couple of weeks. But today I wanted to talk about the messages that watches send. And there are two kinds of messages. There's the message that is sent to the general public, and then there's the message that is sent to other people in the watch industry or watch collectors, enthusiasts. And Warren, first in. Hi, Warren. The movement mensch, hey, number two, an elusive man. Always nice to see you, my friend. And Alex is in the seat. Well, I'm glad you see it that way because no matter how busy my life gets, I can always spend some time on a Sunday evening with all of you wonderful, lovely people. Hey, the Vince and Damus. Damon Strahatos. Very cool. And because as I was saying, watches obviously send a message. Any accessory sends a message. Fashion accessories send a message. A hat sends a message. A ring sends a message. A watch definitely sends a message. Shoes send a message. Handbags. Every single thing about humans, because we are social animals and we like to decorate ourselves and we like to speculate on others. It creates a buzz about, what is cool, what is not cool, how do we wanna represent our version of it to the public. I mean, tattoos are one way to say things, and in this case, for this episode, watches are their own language, and there are different dialects. L Train, hey, haven't seen you in a while, my friend. Damon, the suit of armor has a watch on it. Yes, it's got an oversized 65 millimeter Messerschmitt. I picked it up on a lark, and it's too huge to wear, but I just thought it was a good price, and I thought, why not? And it works on the armor, you know. But it's a functional mechanical German style pilot's watch from the old timey days. Oh, elusive man. Speaking of hats, I don't think I've seen you without one. To be fair, I wear a cap all the time. No, I have hair under here. I got hair. It's just that, once you pass 60, you're allowed to wear a hat, unsardonically. Although a younger sartorially oriented individual may wear a hat. A lot of people wear hats, but I've gotten to an age where I wear the hat, because I like hats. And also for the show, I always wear this specific hat. I mean, I have other hats, but I wear this specific hat because a little bit of branding never hurts. And to be the guy with the checkered cap isn't terrible. Hopefully, they be the guy who kind of knows what he's talking about when it comes to watches. But basically, it's all about you because if you don't feel that you're being entertained, you're going to switch off in a heartbeat because we live in an environment where we don't have to be bored anymore, so when I talk about watches, I try not. And now that I'm a little, like I said, I'm back on the saddle on the new job. I shouldn't say back in, but finally in. I'll have more time now to do some things because I have a, seagull panda that I picked up that I really, really want to do an episode on because I really do think they're making some cool stuff. And this seagull panda is competitive competitive. I wouldn't say, phenomenal, but it does stand up to the Hamilton Panda Bicompax Chrono. From a distance, the Breitling. But we are after at the end of the day talking about, a Chinese nicely made watch, but still not to the level of anal retentiveness you're gonna get out of Europe at the current stage. You can get it out of Asia. There are some Korean and Japanese watchmakers who make awesome stuff, or even the mainstream. If you think about Seiko's Crador, you can get high horology, high levels of finish out of Asia. And there are even I've seen some stuff on some of the micro Chinese brands, and there's some really interesting and well-made and good horology starting to come out of China. And, speaking of messages, for example, that's one message that you can give is have just a funky watch like this Ageloker Chinese tourbillon. Let me wind it a little bit. Um, it's a double barrel. It actually comes with a winding motor. I guess they figure it is that tedious to wind. And I misplaced it in my move back in October. So one day I'll be pleasantly surprised when I uncover it again. I could probably modify one of my micro drills, but what the heck? I can always wind a watch. But, having a watch like this is also a message to the general public because even the average non-watch person would say, "Wow, that's an interesting looking watch." And a watch person who knows watches would then say, "Oh, it's one of those Chinese tourbillons." Because if you do follow the watch industry and watch even only a couple of the watch pundits out there, I always say watch them all. Watch me and everybody else because we're not really competing with each other. I mean, okay, some of us might be, and some of us I don't like talking timepieces with Tony. His channel came out after mine. Why did he have to use that name? But that's all right. I'll stop griping. But I do strongly suggest, and even watch his channel. What the hell? Because something like watches, it's not a channel that's doing it for the right reasons. They're not in competition. They should be trying to add their own voice. Be part of the chorus, as it were, and contribute their voice to make you a more educated watch collector. You know. Mets cap for me, elusive man says. Damon, no one ever mentions my watch. I think only us watch nerds notice other people's watches. And that's primarily the case. That really is. Unless you're wearing, something that everybody knows, like a Cartier or a Patek, or, well, even the average person doesn't really know Patek. The average person knows Rolex, and the average person knows Cartier. See, so, and speaking of messages, I was going to talk about that aspect. Straps are one aspect of the message. I mean, I'm saying something by having a rubber strap on my Cartier. Primarily, I'm saying I want to be able to wear this in more casual settings, but in other senses, a watch person who comes up and sees me in a bar wearing one of these, they're going to know that I'm at least a reasonably invested watch person to put a watch like this on a rubber strap. Because I mean, well, wristwatch check. I'm wearing my Breitling Navitimer, which is an awesome piece. It really is. It's if you have more than 3 or 4 watches, this should be your 4th or 5th watch, or earlier. But this is a gorgeous piece, and it's the GMT version, a really sharp, nice, good-looking watch, right? And this is on the rubber, but having a sports watch like a Breitling, and this is the factory rubber, as you can tell by the bright written across it. So, but having a sports watch on factory rubber is a completely different thing than having a watch, like, what is considered more of a posh watch on an aftermarket rubber strap. Anybody who sees that knows that I'm a watch guy, and I don't care as much about the poshness as I do about wearing a cool watch. And this is a cool watch, that Cartier, and by putting it on the rubber, I could wear it with a lot more different outfits and situations and the like. And the average person from a distance, they just see chunky sports watch, which is cool by me. So let's see. HRM. Hey, HRM. Apparently, Seagull's supposed to be coming out with a grand sonnery this year. Yes, I heard about that. I can't wait to see that because everybody had paroxysms of ecstasy over Christopher Ward doing a simple sonnery. And if they do a grand sonnery, oh, frankly, you could call it grand if you've got more than 3 notes, right? If it goes bing, bong, then you can call it a grand sonnery 'cause, nobody else makes one with more than, say, well, like I said, Christopher Ward's got their 1 bong, and if you pay I should say ring, because saying that they have 1 bong makes them sound like I am saying Christopher Ward is a pothead or something. But, if you think about the aspect of, having an interesting sonnery, because again, I've said this in the past, when it comes to the Chinese, watch manufacturers, China doesn't make inferior products. China is the source of a lot of inferior products, but that's because people are paying them to make inferior products. Flextronics is in China. Your iPhone was made in China. If you're willing to spend the money, you can get top flight stuff out of China. And the watch industry in China is starting to wake up to that. And that's why you see things like tourbillons at reasonable prices and eventually a sonnery. Um, well, frankly, if it's anything under 10K, it'll be a reasonable price because Frederic Constant has the only Swiss made perpetual calendar for under 10. And I'm surprised we don't see more perpetual calendars out of the Chinese. I've seen some corny full calendars that, like try to pretend they are, but a good perpetual calendar out of China, I think would make some waves. Um, Trap Vision, hey, watch Chris. And Butters, my friend. The Vince, it's like seeing a unicorn nowadays when a person has an actual watch on wrist makes you want to talk to them. This is also true. That's why I even compliment, young people I see and older people too, but mostly an older person with a watch has usually got a mechanical, but younger people, they just want a nice watch. I shouldn't say that. Maybe they don't have the budget and they're saving up, or that's their beater. I don't want to put thoughts in their heads or words in their mouths. But when I do see someone wearing a watch with hands, I always go out of my way to comment on, isn't it cool you're wearing a watch with hands? Because as you just pointed out, not too many people wear watches to begin with, much less quartz. So to me, as I've said in the past, my criteria today is a watch with hands. If you have a watch with hands, it could have intelligent cockroaches running on little treadmills inside. I don't care. If you have a watch with hands, you're wearing a watch. Yes, if you're wearing a cool mechanical watch, you get points, but you already get points because you're wearing a watch with hands. Because that, at the essence of it, is what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to preserve that horological analog representation of time. Because you can have a mechanical watch that has a digital display. I know Lange makes one, and a bunch of others make them, and they're a nice complication. But to me, if they don't have hands, it's not horological in the sense of trying to be mankind emulating the music of the spheres, as it were. You know, the hand of a watch directly represents the passage of our sun in the sky, which is why you can use the hour hand on a mechanical watch to determine south in the northern hemisphere and north in the southern hemisphere. If the hand didn't track the sun, it wouldn't be able to be used for that purpose. But that's just an example of why a watch with hands is more elegant as a horological statement than a digital watch, even if it was made out of very complicated mechanical parts. Let's see. Elusive Man, question for the group and me. I have a 42 millimeter Zulu Time, nice watch, the Longines, black dial. I'm really considering selling and getting the Tudor Black Bay GMT 39, but I'm holding off to see if Watches and Wonders they release it with a 5 link bracelet. What are my thoughts? Well, let's see what the crowd says. But my thoughts are keep the Zulu Time and put together a war chest. Take a year or so, and by the time you save up enough for the Tudor, there'll probably be all kinds of alternatives and straps and faces, even maybe, because Rolex is letting Tudor be a little bit more adventurist, adventurous. So I would give it if they're coming out with a new family of pieces, I would give it a 6 months to a year anyway, because they may come out with variations that you might like more. Tudor's doing some really cool stuff lately. They really are, you know. But they will always be Chevrolet to Rolex's Cadillac. You know, the Corvette's of Chevrolet, fantastic car. Oh, Butters, keep the Zulu. Exactly. Butters agrees. Trap Vision, fan of that Zulu. See, you're not going to find anybody to say, hold on to that Zulu Time. The Zulu Time GMT is a great watch. I had one in blue and I sold it, and I regret it to this day. But I do have the Navitimer GMT, so I have a blue GMT, and that's the reason I sold the Zulu Time is because it was a blue GMT. Even though I really liked it, but my collection is not big enough to have two watches that are too similar. Um, I sold my Speedmaster, my Hesalite Speedmaster, because I have managed to get my hands on a silver Snoopy, and that'll be delivered soon. And once it does, I will have an episode on it, obviously. But now that I've sold my Speedmaster, there's not as much pressure on me to sell my Nomos because this was more in its starkness, cleanliness with the Speedy than it is with my sub, which is currently out getting a factory service because it's still within warranty and the amplitude was very low. And I took it to my local AD and pointed out I had a photograph, and he takes it in the back and he puts it on his time grapher and he goes, "Yeah, you're right." And they're going to do a free service under warranty because obviously there's something wrong, and it's probably to do with the lubricants because it's literally running zeros, but the amplitude is like 240, which there's something wrong in there, something really wrong, and now's the time to look at it before it turns into something really, really wrong. Like have to replace the winding gears because they're worn from rubbing out. You got to be, yeah, really. I have a whole episode on, having a time grapher. Don't try to be a watchmaker, but a time grapher will tell you if it's like having those little diagnostic things you can plug into your car to ask it what's wrong with it. Like R2D2 interrogating the Millennium Falcon about the hyperdrive. But if you have a watch that's worth, or even if it's not worth a lot of money and you just really like it, time grapher costs about $200, and it'll allow you to do preventative maintenance on the watch by keeping an eye on its running characteristics, and it'll keep you from having one service too soon, and it'll definitely keep you from having one service too late. You know, movement mensch. I would definitely sell the Longines if Tudor came out with a fine link. Well, my watch collector in me would say, why not both? Like I said, put together a war chest, save up for a year or so. And by then, also, you might be able to pick one up at a reasonable price on the gray market or secondary market. You know, Never hurts to take your time buying a piece. It's taken me since it came out. to get the silver Snoopy I've been hunting. Sometimes it takes a while. But the wait is worth it because there are 2 things you should never do. You should never buy a watch on credit, and you should never buy a watch on impulse. You should definitely think it all through because that impulse watch, you may luck out and love it forever, but you may also wake up a month later and go, "Wow, why did I buy that Richard Mill?" Um, HRM, a little known fact, Seiko designed a nuclear-powered quartz wristwatch in 1970. Didn't make it because the nuclear battery didn't last long enough. They were probably using a pacemaker battery because those are, they're like atomic decay run. The alpha particles or something from the decaying go through a grid and generate electricity or something like that. And those are nuclear batteries legitimately. So they probably were using pacemaker batteries, which are small enough. Pacemaker. That would be cool though, nuclear powered watch. What I really am waiting for, and I keep an eye on it because I'm a tech journalist. I'm waiting for a chip scale atomic clock because they have them now, but a chip scale atomic clock right now is about yay big and about yay thick. So it's still a little big for a watch. The moment they get small enough to put into a decent sized pocket watch, I'm really thinking about starting a micro brand just to sell atomic pocket watches with a rubidium because they probably won't have cesium at that size first generation, but a rubidium atomic clock. There, you can get them pretty small right now, chip scale. Um, Actually, I think rubidium, I might even be able to get it that small. But yeah, that instead of being atomic powered, I wouldn't mind seeing an atomic pocket watch. Elusive man, love the Zulu, hard to me to get rid of. Then don't get rid of it. HRM, I'm considering getting a Glashütte Pano Inverse. Yes, Glashütte Original makes some really beautiful watches, my friend. You can't go wrong with any of them. From the CQ to the Moon Phase, they're all awesome, awesome watches. They really are. And Glashütte the town is really nice. Like I said, well, I shouldn't say it, didn't say it, but Nomos is a Glashütte. And it says in fact Nomos Glashütte on the face because Glashütte is a town. Um, I really want to take a vacation week and go hang out in Glashütte and bounce around the various factories. Um, Now that things are a little more stable I might have to wait till I retire. See, that's the trouble when you work hard, you never have time to do cool stuff like go spend a week in a town like that. I am speaking of, though, watch towns, I am gonna go to Geneva again for, Geneva Watch Days and, Dusseldorf Watch Fair. So those are the 2 shows I'm still pretty much going to regularly. I don't think I'm big enough yet for Watches and Wonders, but, we'll see next year. Um Butters, LOL, R2D2. Exactly. You gotta know your Star Wars lore. I actually got a comment about my episode on exotic materials from last week because I had been at the German Carnival parade and I was wearing a costume, but it was the Captain Kirk shirt. So I thought it fit in with exotic materials. So I wore it for the episode and someone said something about boomers and I deleted it. But if you can't take a joke, why go in the room? So let's see. Trap Vision. I saw that Zulu with the DC district time on the wrist of an enthusiast yesterday. Oh, yeah. Next time, take a picture and post it. HRM, the Tudor Jubilee and T-Fit clasp is super comfortable. This is true. Well, the Jubilee bracelet by nature is a very nice and flexible bracelet. That's why it wears so fast. Me personally, that's why I prefer an Oyster bracelet on a Rolex instead of the Jubilee because the Oyster is more rugged and it'll last longer without sagging. But a Jubilee is a beautiful bracelet, and it's very comfortable because it's so flexible. Agreed. Elusive Man. Pacemakers are very cool tech. I'm very familiar with them. Yeah, the weird thing is that I have a lot of knowledge about medical electronics because I used to run a magazine called Medical Design Technology, and so I knew about core technologies and pacemaker tech. And they're also putting now defibrillators inside the pacemakers. You can actually get a defibrillator pacemaker, which my mother got, and I spoke to her a few days after the operation, and she said she wasn't feeling well and she's hiccuping a lot. And I said one of the electrodes slipped. And lo and behold, one of the electrodes did slip. See, so I don't know anything about medicine, but I do know about medical electronics. And they were gonna, like, say, "Hey, how did that happen?" And she's like, "I'm not gonna sue you, just fix it." And they did fix it without a problem. And so I was able to help out my mom. But yeah, pacemakers are awesome technology. Uh, I'm hoping that medical tech gets perfect by the time I get old enough to need it, and then, I'll just be the cyborg with the bionic you know what, until I'm, you know, enlisted in the alien wars or something. Elusive man, thanks for the input. However, I'm at the point where I have quite a few pieces as right, I have, reviewed, Elusive Man's collection in the show that it's in the archive. Sell one of the other pieces. Keep the Zulu. And I'm off. I'm at the if the one watch comes, one it has to go. Yeah, so then I would say really think about what you have and maybe move one of the other pieces. You have too many Rolexes. Sell one of the Rolexes. Keep, of course, at least one or two. But I think you have three. Sell one of the Rolexes. HRM, an atomic clock wristwatch would be super cool, but I prefer pieces under 12 millimeters thick. Yeah, it'll be a few years before that happens. Oh, maybe someday in the future with chip progression. Yeah, I'd say we're probably about 10 to 15 years away from chip scale atomic clocks being that small. And then the second question is the power supply, right? So you have a chip that's maybe 5, 6 millimeters thick, but then you have to slap it on a battery that's at least 3, 4 millimeters thick, plus a case. So you're still talking about Value 7750 watch thickness, 7753 watch thickness. Damon, if I acted on impulse alone, I'd own 1,000 watches. Me too, my friend. But luckily, my finances always hold me back. I mean, just a journalist as it is. I finance my lifestyle because I live below my means. I deliberately live in a small apartment, and I deliberately don't own a car, so that way I have my money to do things that I like to do instead of just trying to, deal with society. But living in a small German city, I don't need a car, thankfully, and I can have a nice small apartment without living in an incredibly scary, dangerous place just because it's a small apartment. You know, there are things to be said for living in a small German city, but not everyone can. So I'm not going to, you know, um, dwell on it too long. But no, I'm a lucky man. So I have disposable income to invest in, things like my crazy passion, deep passion. I really do love watches. First watch I got was when I was in second grade. My mom gave me a Timex for my communion, and I've been fascinated with watches ever since. In fact, in seventh grade, I did a science fair project on watches, talking about how the number of times you split the second, determines the accuracy of the piece. And I made it all the way to state, even though all it was a bunch of clay models of watches and me talking about them. So I've been passionate about watches a long time, and I'm appreciative of the fact that modern social media gives me an opportunity to share my passion with you all, and we can have a little community and enjoy these conversations. The movement mensch, Steel Reef also released new bezel inserts for the Black Bay 58 so you can do a Pepsi setup. Wow, nice. Well, the nice thing about getting an aftermarket bezel insert is you have a jeweler remove the original so it doesn't get broken, or get the right tools and do it yourself, and then put that in the box. So if you ever decide to sell, it's not like you're selling the watch without the factory bezel. You had the factory bezel in the box all this time, and then you can even say factory bezel never worn, you know? Mod the watch, why not? Have some fun. HRM, a lot of watchmakers end up working in the the medical industry as maintenance guys. Pays better than working for Swatch, for example. Well, precision equipment, right? You got to think about all of that stuff, precision equipment. Um, that's why I think it's interesting. The thing about silicon parts in watches that causes the Swiss mechanical industry, the watch industry, to work hand in hand with the Swiss semiconductor industry. I saw the wafers. I have photographs in the archive on some wafers that I saw that were etched for hairsprings and the like at the Swiss Microelectronics Institute. You know, of course, since they are Swiss and the Swiss watch industry Swiss, the Swiss government actually encouraged them, and the Swiss semiconductor industry. See, and that's an aspect of silicon parts in watches that a lot of people aren't thinking about, is that silicon parts in watches are viewed by the Swiss as this hybridization of the semiconductor industry and the watch industry. It's part of a forward progression enabling the technology to survive into the next generation. Elusive. Yes, my mom had a pacemaker defibrillator. Right. They're quite popular. And I'd have one if I needed one too. Why not? What's the alternative? I don't want to leave the game yet. HRM Formex is releasing Raphael, their CEO, is a cool guy. Formex is releasing a new model on the 25th of the month. They teased it something to do with ceramic and is patented. I'm thinking they're using the patented superluminova ceramic case material. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Well, the timing is good because Watches and Wonders is in early April, if I'm not mistaken. So the timing is perfect for that release. Trap Vision Formex had that new piece on display yesterday and today in DC. Oh, there you go. Hey, Gian, nice to see you. Missing a couple of weeks here due to holiday vacation. Well, you got to take a break. Enjoy your vacation. Uh, Damon, hi, Gian. How'd you get a blue name? I don't know myself. Maybe it has to do with that wrench on the name. Who knows? Trap Vision is a sports model. They wouldn't let anyone take pictures of it. Well, that makes all the sense in the world. I mean, I've been at trade shows and events and seen like things like next generation smartwatches and all, and like asked, "Hey, can I see it?" And they're like, "No, no, not you, especially not you. I know you're a journalist." Oh, Gian made me a model a long time ago. Yeah, very cool. Hey, Sam Nova, nice to see you. Because we were talking about, the messaging watches give to people. Um, Back then, Damon, there was a time when it was just me and Alex and maybe 2 more. On the live streams, yeah, now we're getting healthy crowds, which I really like. But I did wanna get back to the topic, but let's finish these comments, and then we'll get back to the topic about the messaging. HRM, it won't be long until we see more hybrid watches with mechanical movement and smartwatch modules similar to what Frederic Constant does. I would rather see things like smart buckles that you could attach, which have also been done. A smart buckle that you could attach so you can keep your standard watch, but have that module pressed up against your skin to do that. I'd like to see more smart buckles, bracelets. That way you can run your standard watch. But now, speaking of like taking it back to the topic about the messages that watches give, as I was saying, there are like two kinds of messages, right? There's the one obvious message from the ones that Rolex gives. I have an expensive watch. The average person, like that was something that came out, I think, a month or two ago, that it was a buzz on the social media for a short period of time because several prominent influencers who owned Rolexes were complaining of how the Rolexes were running slow. And it turns out that they had never bothered to set them since they bought them. And a few months later, they were a few minutes late, which is normal for a mechanical watch. But these people who were used to quartz watches or their phone were like, hey, this watch is running slow. So the message of I'm an expensive watch does not necessarily enlighten anyone, edify anyone on the benefits of a nicely made watch. There's the message, I am an expensive watch. And that is not what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about the messages of, let's say, for example, that person has that expensive watch, but wants also to let other watch people know that they're not that kind of a watch collector. But then again, that's one of the reasons why companies like IWC are so popular, because if you see somebody wearing an IWC, you're like, oh, okay, they could afford a Rolex, but they choose not to wear a Rolex. And that could be because they like pilots' watches, or they don't want to be seen wearing a mainstream high theft target watch. although most of the really smart thieves know that IWC is worth money anyway. But in my mind, the IWC is the message that an IWC gives to me is that here's a watch that someone who can afford a luxury watch isn't wearing a typical luxury watch, you know? But then again, you could say that to a degree about the Cartier sports watches because this came on an alligator and you could wear it with a suit, but it would be really, really hard to get under the cuff. You know, it would be really hard to get under the cuff. And then, um, the whole aspect of straps and messaging and the like is having a nice strap that complements the piece. It shows people that you know your pieces and you really want you want it to look nice for yourself, maybe not necessarily for other people, because you should never do it for other people. And like this comes on a black alligator, and I put it on a blue alligator to sporty it up. Same reason I did the uh, strap on the Cartier, but I replaced the strap on this, but it wasn't to necessarily dress it up. I replaced the strap on this because I needed to put a new strap on it. You know, what are you going to do? I just realized I need to polish it. It's getting all rubbed out on the top. I should get some blue shoe polish and polish it and buff it out. I would have to. I should put like tape on the white threads to protect it from the polish. But wearing a non-factory strap, like for example, I recently got the Deluxe rubber strap for the PRX Chrono. Tissot sells the rubber strap. You can buy it in the store for the three-hander, but for some reason the Chrono has a different lug width, but you can't find a rubber strap. But Deluxe, oh, Deluxe, I bought this, paid with money, so it's not an ad for Deluxe. Has a nice deployant clasp, spring-loaded deployant clasp, really nice piece. I mean, I really, really like this Deluxe strap on this watch. And the nice thing about it is it makes it more casual and sporty because the metal strap that's on the PRX is a little much for me, you know? It's this is to me, this is not an a Audemars Piguet alternative. To me, it's a Value 7753 reverse Panda Chrono at a reasonable price. This watch you can get for under $2,000 with a Value 7753 Chrono movement in it. That looks good, well made, sapphire crystal, display back, nice watch. You can tell it's a 53 because it's got the hidden pusher for the date change. Let's see. Gotta scroll up. It's always nice getting that many comments. You gotta scroll back up to catch up. HRM, smart buckles are cool. Seiko Wena, if I remember correctly, probably. Trap Vision. Christopher Ward had that new C60 and at least over 100 people waiting in line to see it. Wow. I envy you for being at the show. Gian, now we got a healthier crowd. Back then, three as a crowd exists, and Alex really schooled me on watches. I owe a lot to, oh, thank you. Squandering on what watches to buy. I'm glad you think I'm a good teacher. Nanad, hey, Nanad, watch is a message to another watch geek. It depends on what watch you're wearing. Exactly. And let me insert into this point what one of the things that made me think about this is I was in a bar and I saw a guy wearing a Seiko Alpinist on a NATO. Now that screams I am a watch guy. A Seiko Alpinist, number one, is not a well-known Seiko model, and then to wear the Alpinist on a NATO means that he knew exactly what he was wearing. And what that told me also is because the Alpinist is not a cheap watch, but it's not an expensive watch, and it's on the NATO, it shows that he really just wants to enjoy the piece. I did know I could guess that he was a military person because in Wiesbaden here in Germany, there is a big American base. So he probably wore it in the field, but it looked nice. It worked well with what he was wearing. He was rocking that piece, but by the fact that it was just an alpinist on a NATO, who wears that combo and isn't a watch person, you know? That kind of thing really brings it out. If you see someone wearing a watch that doesn't normally have a NATO strap and it's on a NATO strap and it's got the tuck, this person took the time to put the strap on it. Because like Omega sells factory for about 200 bucks NATO straps. And they look really nice. I think they have a silver and blue one. I'm thinking of getting it for the silver Snoopy. I'm gonna take it to the dealer and see how it looks out, 'cause I might wa I also I'm willing to, spend the money on a standard, speedy metal bracelet because it should fit, because I believe it's a 20 millimeter lug width on the silver. We'll see. But, yeah, you should definitely always look into multiple straps, and straps, like I said, are part of the language, because if someone sees you wearing, a watch on a non-traditional strap, that gives them a hint already that you're the kind of person that, is into watches for watches and not just into watches for the flex. Gian, so Alex, maybe we're on the topic, but thank you for all your knowledge sharing. Oh, I'm honored. I only have Longines and Laco, two great companies. And if you weren't here, I probably would have a bunch of Seiko. Nothing wrong with Seiko. Trap Vision. Agreed, Alex. I appreciate you all saying nice things about me. Hey, Bravo Delta. Nice to see you. Gian. Not that anything's wrong with Seiko. Exactly. Four Seikos or one great Longines. Exactly. That's my philosophy as well. Um, I really like my Longines complete calendar moon phase. I really do like this piece. The master collection is a little bit nicer, but this is the Conquest. This is a daily wear, highly water resistant. I think it's at least 100 or whatever. More rugged case. The face is a little smaller, and it's a cam value 7751, whereas the Master Collection actually has one of the few, if only, if I think they don't make the column wheel 7751 for anyone but Longines. But yeah, Longines makes some really nice. There are times when they've been appreciated, but right now they're underappreciated. Ristful Ignorance. Hey, hey, how's it going? Oh, Patel. Hey, how's it going, my friend? Glad you're enjoying the show. Um, Evening chat. Ristful. Yeah, how's it going, Ristful? HRM at Gian, or one great Seiko. Exactly. Something like 6810 UTD or an 8L 35 300 can be brought for around $1,000. Incredible value for the money. This is very true. And also some Citizens and some Casios out there at their higher ends are also very, very nice watches, especially if you like pilots watches, busy watches. You can get some really cool stuff. I think they just came out with a new Flight Master, in fact. Elusive Man, D-Lugs makes great straps. Yeah. Who knew? I mean, I shouldn't say who knew. I mean, a lot of people talk about D-Lugs, but yeah, just to bring it back into the camera, this is the D-Lugs strap for the Tissot Chrono, because you can't get a Tissot factory strap. It was a bit of a humongoid pain in the tuchus because it's got loose pins to fit in there. That pin is not integral to the strap. That pin had to be inserted while I was holding the tab in there, like a little teeny weeny strap and spring pin, which it was. So this is never coming off because it was such a nightmare to put on. But I do like the way it looks on the watch. Oh, Nanad, I have a Deluxe leather strap with deployment class for my Union Glashütte, and Union makes nice watches. They make some really nice pieces as well. Wristful Ignorance. Hosa Straps just posted some new denim handmade in Vietnam. Not sure of the price. Well, if you want handmade custom, there's a guy I interviewed at the Dusseldorf watch show in October, and he has his offices in Dusseldorf. He's an Egyptian guy named Mohammed. He runs a shop called Sartipi, and we had a great chat. And he showed me some frog skin leather. He showed me some lizard leather, python, ostrich leg. I'm I'm probably going to go up there and have him make me a custom strap for the Silver Snoopy. I'm thinking maybe stingray, like a blue stingray, or maybe a blue python. But yeah, a nice custom strap's totally worth the trouble. What is my opinion on Arnold and Son? Underrated or just a so-so? They're underrated. I interviewed the Arnold and Son people at Geneva Watch Days, and the problem is that they're just really well made. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but like if you think of a watch, there are companies that have things, right? Gimmicks. They've got maybe the power reserve that goes in a different way, or they've got, the tourbillon or there's something different about their pieces. Whereas Arnold and Son watches are just really, really well made pieces. They're not gimmicky. They're not fancy. They're fancy within the realm of being highly decorated, right? But no, Arnold and Son, they make some good stuff. And yeah, you should check out the video I shot at Geneva Watch Days with them. HRM. Anyone who wears ultra thin manual wide screams enthusiast to me. Exactly. Well, manual wind alone is enthusiast, because you can have a lot of mechanical people who are not a big fan of manual winds. I like a manual wind if it's for a reason, like the Silver Snoopy. Usually no water resistance on the ultra thin, worse shock resistance, so I have to be careful with them. You should check out the that will pop into my head. They have I did an interview with them, um, double remontoirs in their pieces, but they're reasonably rugged, reasonably, like 10 atmospheres water resistance kind of thing. Bravo Delta. I have the PRX Chrono 2 and I bought the Tissot blue leather. Not a lot of options for the Chrono. Exactly. If I were you, I would get the Deluxe rubber. I paid for it myself. It's not an ad. The Deluxe rubber strap is really nice. I didn't know they finally had the leather strap available for the Chrono. I might go get the leather, but that was such a pain to put on. I might not do that. Oh, Jean, Team Longines, exactly. Trap Vision, Longines is legendary. You should have at least one Longines in your collection if you have more than a couple of pieces, frankly, in my humble opinion. But then again, that's why I have too many watches. Elusive Man. That Longines and the Mont Blanc I have are amazing watches. Oh, yes, my Nicholas Rusek. The only reason I don't have it here is it's already packed in my bag that I'm taking tomorrow to Nuremberg, because I'm going to wear a suit tomorrow, so I've already packed. I packed 2 watches because it's a 3-day trade show. I'm taking my Oyster Quartz, which is a really great suit watch, and I'm taking the Nicholas Rusek. I'm wearing this there. I'm not going to take this off between now and tomorrow getting on the train. But yeah, I love that Nicholas Rusek. It's really a nice piece, and it's true high horology. It's a mono pusher, vertical clutch, column wheel, GMT chronograph. Really nice piece. I'm glad you remembered that piece. Not to mention, I won't be seeing anyone wearing them. They don't see them often, people wearing them. That's the nice thing about a nice piece like that. Living in New York City, all I see is Rolex, Omega, and Cartier. Same shit. Haha. Well, hey, next time I'm in New York, we got to have a beer together. My mom still lives in Queens. Gian, by the way, just for everyone's tidbit, 2025 is Laco's 100-year anniversary. I'd love to get a Laco Pro before the year ends. I should reach out to them and see what they're doing. They'll probably have something elaborate at the Dusseldorf show because they always have a big display at the Dusseldorf show. And the same guy who owns Laco owns Bruno Sönle. Would love to get a Laco Pro. Stova was made in 27, so their 100th will be in 27. And Stova makes nice pieces too. Well, we're getting to the top of the hour. Let's run through the comments and I'll make some closing statements and we'll call it a day. Mm. But yeah, you can tell people things with your watch. For example, you can wear quirky vintage upside down, like this Bulova Accutron tuning fork watch from the 70s, right? Anybody seeing this? And this is a nice and enough and elegant enough piece that you can still wear it with a suit today. Um, and actually, I might wear this tomorrow because it's an electronics trade show, and so wearing it to an electronics trade show gets some traction with the electronics geeky people. No, I'm gonna wear this to the conference in Atlanta because they're power electronics engineers. Get to show off some geekiness to those guys. Those are stone geeks, power electronics engineers, because you still have to understand analog even today. L. Leroy. Damon, I'm gonna have to look L. Leroy up because it's not doing anything for me. Email me send me a link. It's smartalex, ALIX at yahoo.com. I'll look them up. Uncivil Law. Hello, watch friends. Elusive Man. So with the being said, Longines and Mont Blanc make the statement that I know my shit when it comes to horology, or at least that I like to pretend I do. Oh, I'm not an arbiter. I'm not anything. I mean, I'm just a collector and a hobbyist like you all. It's just that I really give a crap, and I'm a professional in my day job, a journalist. So to me, having my facts straight is important to me, especially when I'm talking to you. I don't want you ever to feel that you've been led astray by anything I've said. Butters, I've had more compliments on my father's 1971 Seiko Bellmatic. Oh, very cool than any so-called luxury watch. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. A watch can just look good, Like I think this Omega Memomatic, it's an alarm. It's a mechanical alarm watch. It is a really nice piece. I really like this piece. I rarely wear it, which is kind of sad because it is a beautiful watch. And in one sense, a watch geek would go, "Whoa, mechanical alarm." And an average person would just simply say, "Oh, nice blue face." It's how a watch looks, I think, is still always the number one thing. HRM, if I'm a fan of Longines, definitely pick up a Longines L990. It's a legendary automatic movement, the last movement that was fully designed and manufactured in-house by Longines. Keeps great time. Very cool advice. I'm going to keep my eyes open for that. Bravo Delta, the Tissot leather strap for the chrono has the little pinch tabs on the spring bar, just like the bracelet. Ooh, then I'm definitely going to order that. I guess I will. Movement mention, Bionic might know what is priority number one. Well, if you're going to go for the laugh, right? Sheehan, that's a good idea. Contacting Laco, right? Exactly. Butters, I remember the vid. Frog blew my mind. There you go. Robert, another good show. I appreciate you think so, my friend. And yeah, we are at the top of the hour. If I don't see another question in the next minute or two, Formula, have a great topic and another great live stream. Have a great week. You too, Formula. You take care. And if anybody has an idea for anything you'd ever want me to hear talk about, email me and I'm more than happy to add it. I mean, Santa Claus has had several of his ideas turned into topics, and I'll ramble on for the whole hour. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Yeah, Laco and Stova is cool stuff. Take care. Love you all. Have a fantastic week. And above all, have a fantastic evening. Take care. Bye bye.